Man, when a man finds himself living alone after a breakup, man, the silence can feel deafening at first. Man, the absence of another voice in the house. Man, the empty space on the other side of the bed. Man, the small routines once that now only involve him. These moments can strike with a sense of loss, that feels unbearable. Man, but what we often overlook is that solitude, mend, when embraced rather than resisted, man, has the power to heal in ways that constant company never can. Man, solitude becomes a mirror, a teacher, and eventually a source of strength. You see, in a relationship, much of our identity naturally entwines with the presence of another person. Man, we share our time, our energy, and even our sense of who we are with them. When that bond is suddenly cut, it can feel as though we've lost not just a partner, but a part of ourselves, men. And so the instinct is to fill the gap quickly through distractions. Men, rebound relationships, endless socializing. Men, numbing the pain in different ways. But here's the truth. Then rushing to avoid solitude is often the biggest mistake we make. Man, because the very thing we are trying to run away from, being alone, is the space in which genuine healing happens. Man, when a man allows himself to sit with his own company, man, uncomfortable as it may be in the beginning, man, he starts to confront realities he's been avoiding. Man, he hears his own thoughts more clearly. Man, then there's a man. He recognizes the emotions he's been suppressing. Man, and he becomes aware of patterns in himself that may have contributed to the relationship's struggles. Men, solitude is uncomfortable, not because it is empty, but because it is brutally honest. It strips away the noise. A man leaving us face to face with truths we sometimes don't want to see. Man, and yet this confrontation is the birthplace of transformation. Man, philosophers and psychologists have emphasized the importance of solitude. Man, Carl Jung often spoke about the necessity of withdrawing from the external world in order to convince and connect the soul. A man, Nitsushi reminded us that great growth often comes from isolation. Man, from daring to be with one's own thoughts and forging strength in silence. man. And there's a man in practical, everyday terms. We know this to be true as well. A man. Think about the greatest shifts in your life. Many of them probably came not when you were small, when you were surrounded by people. Man. But in moments of stillness, then there's a man where you had to face yourself and make a decision needed. For a man after a breakup, man, solitude is that sacred ground where wounds begin to close. Man, that is where he realizes that his value does not diminish because someone chose to leave. A man. It is where he discover his worth is not defined by the presence of another man, but by his ability to stand whole in his own presence, living alone. Man, for however long life gives him that opportunity, is not an exile. Man, it is an initiation into a deeper form of strength. Now, man, this doesn't mean solitude is easy. In fact, at first, man, it feels like withdrawal from a drug. Man, the mind craves the dopamine of constant interaction and the comfort of familiar habits, the reassurance of validation. Man, but as days turn into weeks, something begins to shift. Man, he starts to enjoy small rituals, making his own coffee in the morning. A man, setting his own schedule, investing in hobbies he once neglected. Man, he learns to sit in the quiet without reaching for his phone. Man, to walk through his thoughts without needing them to be interrupted by someone else's voice. Man, slowly, he begins to enjoy his own company. There's a man, and that's when solitude stops being a burden and starts being a gift. Man, because in those quiet hours, a man finds himself again. Man, he reconnects with the dreams he once had before the relationship consumed so much of his focus. A man, he starts to listen to the inner compass that may have been silenced in the noise of compromise. Man, he rediscovers passions, goals, man, and ambitions that are entirely his own. Man, what emerges is not just healing, man, but a renewed sense of individuality. Man, the beauty of solitude is that it transforms loneliness into self-respect. Loneliness says, I am incomplete without someone. Solitude says, I am whole, even when I stand alone. And when a man fully embraces that truth, man, he stops seeking relationships out of desperation and starts approaching them from a place of strength. He no longer clings to someone else for validation. A man, because he has already validated himself in the mirror of solitude. Man, it's important to understand that solitude is not about shutting the world out forever. Man, it's about creating a sacred pause. Man, a period of reflection where the heart and mind can realign. If you look at the way nature heals, it does so in quiet cycles. Man, a tree does not grow in the middle of a storm. It grows silently, season by season, in stillness. Likewise, a man heals not in the chaos of endless activity, but in the steady rhythm of being alone and allowing time to do its work. So if you find yourself living alone after a breakup, remember this. Man, the silence is not your enemy. It is your medicine. The empty space is not a void. It is fertile ground for rebuilding. There's man. Solitude is not the end of love. It is the preparation for a love that is healthier, stronger, and more authentic in the future. Man, when you come out of this season, a man, when you are once again ready to share your life with someone, you will do so from a place of wholeness, not neediness. Men, you will bring not the broken pieces of a man seeking to be fixed and the sin, but the strength of a man who has already put himself back together. And so instead of fearing solitude, embrace it. Men, because in the quiet of your own company, man, you will discover the most powerful truth of all, that you were never incomplete to begin with. One of the most profound challenges a man faces after a breakup is not just dealing with the absence of his partner. Breakup does not see with the absence. Is a man, but rediscovering who he is without that relationship. You see, man, identity has a way of becoming entangled when two people are deeply involved. There's man, the routines you build together, the roles you play for each other. A man, even the way you see yourself, all of it starts to merge. Men, and when that relationship ends, it's as if a part of you has been torn away, leaving a hollow space where certainty once lived. But this hollow space is not a loss, it's an invitation. This is of the man. It is the blank canvas upon which a man can begin to paint a new picture of who he truly is. breakup, painful as it may be, the rare opportunity to step outside the identity, to step aside at what you can to step within the relationship and reveal a version of yourself that is interdependent. Amen, resilient and whole. Many men make the mistake of tying their worth to external markers, how loved they feel, how much attention they receive. Men, and whether or not someone chooses to stay with them. Man, this dependence is fragile because it hands the power of your self-esteem to another person. When she leaves, the man, and it feels as though your sense of value walks out the door with her. Man, but here's the deeper truth: no one can give you your identity. There's a man, and no one has the authority to take it away. Men, identity and self-worth are internal assets. Man, they are built from within man, not borrowed from someone else's validation. Man, the living alone after a breakup forces a man to confront this reality. It forces him to ask a man, that who am I when there's no one here to mirror me? For men, what do I stand for when there's no one else to please or disappoint? Then there's a man. What do I value when I am free to choose without compromise? Man. These are not easy questions, but they are necessary ones. Man. Because when you begin to answer them, there's a man, you reclaim your independence, not just practically, men, but psychologically. And this reclamation shows itself in small but significant ways. A man begins to set his own routines on man, not based on what worked for the couple, but based on what works for him. Man, he starts investing time in pursuits that reflect his individuality, whether it's his that is need. Man, his physical health, his creative passions, man, or his intellectual growth. In doing so, man, he reclaims the areas of his life that may have been neglected or overshadowed. Some men, it's not about dismissing the relationship that ended, men, but about realizing that your story continues. And this chapter is about rediscovery. Man, psychologists often speak about the concept of self-concept clarity, the idea that people who know who they are, men, and who are confident in their self-definition, man, experience greater stability, satisfaction, and resilience. Man, a breakup, though destabilizing, man is often the very thing that challenges you to strengthen that clarity. And A man, it's almost as though life strips you down so that you can rebuild a sturdier foundation. Amen. And let's be honest, this rebuilding is not instant. Man, there are moments of doubt, days where you feel adrift. Some wonders and nights when you question whether you have the strength to stand alone. Man, but these moments are part of the reconstruction process. Identity is not found in a single decision, and it is rebuilt brick. There's brick by brick, habit by habit, choice by choice. And each time you wake up and commit to improving yourself, man, each time you push past the urge to retreat into self-pity, the man, invest in something that grows you rather than something that numbs. You are reinforcing a new self-image, one that says, I am enough. What's even more powerful is that as this process unfolds, a man often realizes that his true identity is not who he thought he was in the relationship. Man, nor is it the broken version he felt immediately after. And his true identity is something deeper, man, something that cannot be shaken by that someone else's departure. Man, it's the essence of his values, his character, his purpose. Man, and when he begins to build his life around that core, a man, he experiences a kind of freedom that no external validation can match. As a man, there is also a practical dimension to this. Man, when you rebuild your identity and self-worth from within, a man, you stop entering relationships from a place of need. Man, you no longer seek a partner to fill a void or to define your value. Man, instead, you approach love from a position of strength. Man, as someone who already knows who he is and what he offers. Man, this shift not only transforms the way you view yourself, man, but it elevates the quality of every connection you build in the future. Because only when you know your own worth can you truly respect the worth of another. Philosophically, man, this journey is an echo of the timeless truth that self-mastery precedes all other mastery. Man, before you can lead, you must lead yourself. Man, before you can love fully, you must love yourself wholly. Man, and before you can share your life with someone else, man, you must first own your life without apology. Man, a breakup doesn't strip you of this opportunity. It delivers it directly into your hands. Man, and so if you are in that season of solitude, men, don't just wait for time to heal you. Use that time to heal you. Use that time to rebuild. A man, challenge yourself to define who you are outside the context of a relationship. As men, cultivate a lifestyle that reflects your highest potential. A man, and feed your mind, strengthen your body, expand your spirit. Man, because the man who emerges from this season will not be the same man who entered it. Man, he will be wiser, more grounded, and more complete within himself. Some man, and that is the ultimate, not that you survived the breakup, man, but that you used it as the catalyst to become more of who you truly are. A man. So remember this, a relationship may have ended, but your identity is not lost. Man, it is waiting for you to rebuild it with intentions and strength, man, and clarity. And once you do, there's a man you'll never again mistake your worth for something that can be given or taken away by someone else once else. Man's as allow someone's one man has taken to man as allow solitude to heal him. Man, and once he has taken the time to rebuild his identity and self-worth, man, there is one more crucial step in the journey. But then there's a man preparing himself for healthier connections in the future. Man, because let's be honest, most people repeat the same patterns in their relationships. Man, simply with different faces. They leave one partner. There's a man only to find themselves in the same dynamics again. A man asking the same questions, facing the same disappointments. Man, that cycle continues until one chooses to break it. Man, and breaking it begins with reflection. Minding. Living alone after a breakup creates the space to reflect not only on what went wrong, but also on how you contributed to it. Man, it's very easy to point the finger outward. Man, to blame a partner for betrayal, neglect, or incompatibility. Man, and perhaps those factors were real. Man, but true growth demands accountability. Ask yourself, man, what role did I play in the collapse? Where did I ignore red flags? Man, where did I compromise too much or not enough? Man, where did I fail to communicate or fail to listen? There's a man, this isn't about self-blame. It's about self-awareness. Man, because self-awareness is the foundation of emotional maturity. Man, And an emotional maturity is the currency of a healthy relationship. Man, when a man takes this journey seriously, he starts to see that love isn't simply about finding the right partner. Man, it's about becoming the right partner. Man, it's about developing the capacity to connect deeply. A man, without losing yourself in the process. And that requires a balance of strength and vulnerability. Man, too much strength without vulnerability, and you become rigid. Men, emotionally unavailable, incapable of intimacy. Man, too much vulnerability without strength, and you become dependent. Man, needy. Phenomenon, unable to create the security that a relationship needs to thrive. Man, preparing for healthier connections means cultivating both. Man, so that you can give without losing yourself. Man, and receive without losing your boundaries. Man, the lessons you learn in solitude make this possible. And when you learn to enjoy your own company, man, you no longer chase relationships out of desperation. Man, rebuild your identity. Man, you no longer look for someone else to tell you who you are. Man, and when you integrate those lessons, you approach love not as a way to fill a void, man, but as a way to share abundance. Man, then there's a man. You don't enter a relationship because you are incomplete. Man, you enter because you are complete enough to build something greater together. Philosophically, this shift is profound. It moves love from a transaction to a contribution. Instead of asking, man, what can this person mean? What can this person give me? You begin to ask, what can I give to this connection while staying true to myself? That shift alone transforms the quality of relationships. Man's. Because when two whole individuals come together, they create something far more stable than two broken halves trying to help patch each other up. Of course, pairing on the tall. For the future love doesn't just mean reflecting, it also means practicing. There's a man. It means setting boundaries in everyday life. Man, so that when love enters again, man, you don't lose yourself in the process. A man, it means being honest in your friendships. Man, in your work relationships, even in the way you treat strangers. Man, because how you show up in those spaces is how you will show up in romance as well. Man, then if you avoid conflict in your everyday life, men, you'll avoid it in a relationship. Men, there's a man. If you disrespect your own boundaries in small ways, man, you'll disrespect them in big ways. Man, so preparation is not just about waiting for the right person. It's about becoming the kind man who naturally sustains love. Man who naturally sustains love when it arrives. Man. There's also the question of expectations. Many men enter relationships carrying the unspoken expectation that their partner will heal their wounds. Men will soothe their insecurities. Men will somehow complete what is unfinished within them. But that expectation is unfair and unsustainable. No partner, man, no matter how loving, can carry that weight indefinitely. Preparing for healthier connections means releasing those expectations and instead coming to the relationships. Instead, coming to the relationship with a sense of fullness. Man, yes, love can be healing. Man, but it should not be your only source of healing. Yes. A partner can support your growth, but they should not be responsible for it. When you take responsibility for your own healing and growth, you liberate the relationship from unnecessary burdens and give it room to flourish. Another part of preparation is learning discernment. Just because you are ready for love again does not mean every opportunity is worthy of your energy. Solitude sharpens your ability to recognize red flags, to sense misalignment, to walk away when something doesn't serve your values. This discernment comes from the quiet strength you've cultivated in your time alone. You no longer stay out of fear of being alone. Because you've already proven to yourself that solitude can be fulfilling. That shift alone prevents you from settling for connections that are shallow, toxic or draining. And when the right person does arrive, the difference is unmistakable. Instead of clinging, you hold space. Instead of seeking validation, you offer validation. Instead of entering a relationship to escape yourself, you enter it to expand yourself. That's what makes it feel neater, not that it's free of conflict or imperfection. Both people are entering from a place of strength, clarity, and responsibility. This is the true gift of living alone after a breakup. Amen. It's not just about surviving the pain of separation. Man, it's about using that pain as preparation for something greater. Because relationships will always be a part of life. Man, we are wired for connection. Man, but the quality of those connections is entirely shaped by the work we do on ourselves when we are alone. Man, so understand this clearly. A man, solitude is not the end of your story. It is the training ground for the next chapter. Man, if you embrace it fully, rebuild yourself with intention, man, and reflect deeply on your patterns, man, you won't just repeat the past. A man, you'll write a new narrative, one where love is healthier, man, deeper, and more fulfilling than ever before. Man's perhaps the most liberating truth of all is this command: you don't prepare for healthier relationships by waiting for someone to arrive. You prepare by becoming someone worth